Greetings. Happy Tuesday. Happy Mars Day. Okay, so I came with a word. I was in reflection on, what it really takes to keep your mind right in this human experience. And I was thinking about how we tend to, when we're in circumstances or situations, hey, how y'all doing? Peace. When we're in circumstances and situations, our mind tends to go directly to our conditions. To our conditions, what we're seeing. And we tend to immediately begin to think of all the ways things could go wrong versus all the ways that things can be miraculous for us. And that's a tendency. It's almost as if our minds have been conditioned in a way to feel that if we were to know all of the ways things can go wrong, then we could fix all of those things. So I'm proposing the way we think. I'd rather know all the ways that things could go wrong so that I can have a plan on so I can brace myself, so that I can wrap my mind around it. Maybe it won't shock me so much or hurt me so much. And that's kind of where we go with it. But if we could make a shift, this is something that, we talk about mindset shift, or like how to train our minds in order to line up with our success or our destiny. One of the main mindset shifts is to shift from that. Catch yourself when you're doing that. Because the mind, once a mind storm, I call it mind storm hit. It could it'll spin you off. And what's happening is not only are the things in your conscious mind are at work, but even in the subconscious. So say you're dealing with a situation that is unnerving because you don't know how it's going to pan out, and you really want to succeed in this situation. And if you quote unquote fail in this situation, so much could happen, all these different type of things. So that's on the conscious mind. Right? On the conscious mind, you're like, man, if I don't do this, if this doesn't go well, if I'm not successful at this, then this could happen, that could happen. So on the conscious mind, you have those fears. But even further than that, on the subconscious mind, there could be some fears that are at play that can totally spin you off into this straight up mind storm. And so now, instead of a divine imagination kicking in, where how are all of the ways that these things can work out, it's difficult to even try to stretch your mind in that way. To try to stretch your mind into all the miraculous ways things could work out. Because our mind, again, has been conditioned to believe in failure, to believe in separation from God, separation from the Creator, which doesn't know failure. Our mind has been conditioned to believe in our own physical power instead of spiritual power. And I want to say right now what spiritual power is. The metaphysical meaning, according to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, of power is the innate ability to control, so to say. I wouldn't use the word control, but this is the word that they use. To control, the innate ability to control your thoughts and feelings. That is spiritual power. Not the power we have been conditioned to believe that we have. The power to think things through. The power to reason. The power to be logical. The power to ultimately manipulate. We have been conditioned in a perceived power that is ultimately manipulation. And if we cannot manipulate something, whether we can in our intellectual mind manipulate the way we think about it, or manipulate the way it's going to happen, manipulate how somebody is going to handle us or whatever, we have become what we perceive to be master manipulators, which we don't think that that's what we're doing. We think that we're being reasonable. We think that we're being logical. We're being smart about it. We're being all these different type of things. But ultimately what we're doing is obsessing with manipulating the situation to be something that we feel is going to come out successful. And so because we've been conditioned in that way, and when I say we've been conditioned, I mean starting with elementary. Listen, starting with elementary. How can I manipulate my teacher to get a green highlight? What is it? Green light. How can I manipulate the system to get an A? How can I reason? This is what we've been conditioned. Because in kindergarten, we didn't feel like sharing with that person. We were told that if we didn't share, then it's a bad check. You know, we got to get a note home to but everything in us was like, no, I don't want to share with that person. But what we were told, well, in order to fit this standard of growth and development, you should be sharing by now. You should be walking by now. You should be whatever. And so since elementary, we've been taught to push through, make it happen, be reasonable, be logical. That's what we've been taught. And so when I say condition, I do mean condition our minds and society. And I brought up school because school, the education of a society, is the foundation of how society runs and thinks. And so everything, including our jobs, including how we approach relationships, including religion, all of these things have a fabric of this in it. And so we have subtly been conditioned to be master manipulators instead of surrendering to our sonship, surrendering to our divinity, surrendering to the unseen, which is majority of what we're experiencing. And you cannot manipulate the unseen. The best thing for you to do is to surrender to it so that you can get in the flow of it. Even in the teachings, I know nobody mean no harm, but because we have been subtly conditioned in a certain kind of way, even in many of the teachings now of how to be a divine being and how to access your spirituality, your spiritual power and all this stuff, it's still from a place of manipulation, and it's still very transactional. It really is. We don't mean no harm, y'all. And I'm not saying it's not good or bad. Y'all know I constantly say I'm not into that. Because truth is truth, and the truth can set us free if we can understand it. And I believe a lot of the things we're doing is because we have a lack of understanding about it. And so what does that leave us? Well, I say when you're facing circumstances and situations, which is an everyday thing. So this is an everyday effort, you know. One of the ways that we can begin to condition our mind to be in a state of surrender instead of manipulation is to, when something come up in our minds, something we desire, a way that we want things to turn out, something that we're working with and we feel like we are responsible for, and those type of things, one of the first things we can do is govern our mind so that our mind is not immediately going to what could be the worst case scenario and how could I fix it? How could this fail, or what am I not doing, or how can I be better? And all of these are things we naturally begin to do. How can I change myself so that I can get what it is that I'm looking for? Instead of doing that, sit and think of all the ways that this situation can come out on top. How blessed, how God can work in miraculous ways in this situation. And you may first think you're being delusional. You may first think it may be a stretch for you. You may feel like I'm just being delusional. But let me tell you something about something I've experienced in my life. It's when I am being what some may deem to be outlandish that I make room for the Most High to do some miraculous things in my life. Thus, I've been able to experience some miraculous creations in my life. So when you want to go that route, you must be ready to desire miraculous creations instead of these mediocre creations that we tend to experience on an everyday basis. I and ready for miraculous creations. Meaning, I may not be able to see it. I may not be able to wrap my mind around it. But I know that it can happen because God is. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose to allow for miraculous creation to unfold in my life. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to imagine them. I'm going to activate this divine imagination instead of this carnal imagination. I'm going to activate this divine imagination and imagine all of the wonderful ways the Most High can step up in this situation. I'm going to allow myself to do that. And I'm going to sit and do that for about an hour, maybe. If I ain't got an hour, I'm going to sit and do it for about 30 minutes. As a matter of fact, as soon as I start seeing that my mind is trying to go towards the way of the bad, oh my God, the danger, I'm going to just take that moment to say to myself, self, I love you. And I understand why you feel that life is not, you're not worthy for miraculous miracles to happen in your life. I understand why you feel that way. Talking to myself, I understand why you feel that way. But what we're going to do is we're going to try something different. Sit to yourself. And how could this thing work out in like miraculous ways? Think of miraculous ways this thing can go. Well, it could go this way. Oh, and what if this happened? And wouldn't it be beautiful as this? And let yourself go. Let yourself start to really just allow yourself to just imagine. Imagine how all the ways that it can work out in a beautiful way. Start practicing doing that. Every time you catch yourself starting to go down the road of worry and fear and all of these, and now your mind is starting to present every single way that this can go wrong. Because you have been conditioned to believe in failure. Because from the age of 3 or 4 or maybe 2, as early as 2, you have been told you failed. You're wrong. That's bad. This is wrong. This is bad. You're going to fail. Be afraid. Be concerned. Stop being nonchalant. You need to be more concerned about this. You have been told that you have weaknesses and all these different type of things. So, because of all of that, you got maybe some subconscious stuff going on, some conscious stuff going on that may be immediately bringing you to how this can go wrong and how this is bad and how you are bad and how you ain't enough and whatever it may be. But when you catch it, practice this in that moment. Stop. And if you need to have a conversation with self, have a conversation with self. Hold on. And then allow yourself to imagine the best case scenario. Miracles. Allow yourself to imagine. See what happens in your life. See what happens in your life. I bear witness that a lot of times you can't make it up how the Most High works in situations. I'm telling you, I bear witness to it. You just can't make it up. I'm telling you. I'm at the garden. It looks beautiful out here. The landscapers did such an amazing job. Oh, it's so beautiful out. I can't wait to take a walk. I'm about to take a walk before I get busy. But I have a testimony in regards to me being able to get this garden. I was working with some investors for almost 4 months who was lined up to help me to acquire this property. We were going through the processes. The owner and I was going through it with them, and we were signing paperwork. It was we had a closing date set. We had everything set. Everything set. Mind you, I'm on like a deadline. The owners are really giving me some leeway because they're like, we really want you to have it. They giving me leeway because they wanted it to be sold by a certain time, and we had been past that. But it was working out. As far as my eyes could see, as far as my mind could know, it was working out because I was under this contract with these investors. They was based in New York. It was a organization, and I'm working it through, and it's going well, and I'm cool. And then I want to say Friday. Yes, it was the Friday before the closing date. I got an email from the CEO of the organization that said we're not going to be able to move forward with this transaction. And my heart sank to my bottom of my feet. I was like, and in that moment, I'm telling you, the thought came in my mind. Your source of supply is with the Almighty. It is not for you to depend on anything else. So, fret not. Now, did that mean I didn't cry and I wasn't hurt? Oh, man. It put me down for about a day and a half. Thank God I had people around me like, girl, what's meant for me? You know, they jumped right on it, hopped on it. Like, okay, it is what it is. Let's keep moving. Let's keep praying. Let's keep praising. Let's keep, so give thanks for the team. You feel me? Because, woo, it blew me. Because I had been working on this thing for almost a year. As a matter of fact, it was right at a year. And I'm telling you that, within not even a month had went by. Within a month, I had several other options. But the one option that I really had on the mind that could be something that I would love. And, when this commercial real estate broker who I was working with, she asked me, she said, how would you like for this situation to turn out? And I said, you know what? If I was to be 100% honest, I desire for a philanthropist to step in who values the value of green space, who honors the role that nature plays in our well-being, who could see the value in OU Ministries and the efforts that OU Ministries make for people in wellness and wholeness and health. A philanthropist who could open their eyes and see what's happening here on this land. How when people come here, their heart lightened, how they can eat natural foods, how we can gather and meditate, how we can gather and do yoga, how we can gather and do all these other things and gather and have beautiful, healing, entertaining, but also healing times together. A philanthropist who will say, you know what? This is something that I feel I could put this here and feel good about. That's what I told her. And within a week, not even a month had went by. And the situation worked in a way where I was able to acquire the property, and space was made for me to be able to have God's will be done where this space is gifted. It went from, I don't see no way at all for this to happen, to somebody stepping in without knowing me. They didn't know me. They stepped in because they got a call, and that call, they was like, hey, we need this property to stay. This is the woman who is he's making this effort. We need this property to stay in the city. We don't want it to be sold. We don't want someone making calls on my behalf to me getting a call, say, hey, I'll step in to stop that transaction from happening and give some time. I'm sharing this to say, I just allowed myself to throw away all other options and go, you know what I really desire? This is what I really desire. And although even now, I'm not 100% seeing how it's going to work out in that way, I 100% imagine it. I 100% imagine how it's going to work out. Well, this space is gifted to the community, to OU Ministries, to everyone who has been impacted, affected to the world of urban ag, to the community of urban ag, I still can't imagine. And what that situation taught me is allow yourself to hold the vision, sister, no matter what you see. And don't allow yourself to believe that your source of supply is in anything else but the Almighty. And when you do that, you may be able to experience miraculous creation and not just mediocre creations as you experience this life. Allow me to show you me. This was what was resounding in my mind. And so I give thanks for the Most High allowing me to experience that out of all that effort I made in a whole year to allow to try to, see what I can do, it all just got pulled off from under me. And within 1 month, and me sticking to that original vision from what I always thought, being bold enough to say, okay, this is what I desire in this situation. Within a month's time, while I was vibing with it for a whole year, within a month's time, it works out in ways that I couldn't even, I could vaguely imagine, but in the way that it really worked out, and there's some things that I'm not stating right now because it would take me a whole hour to tell the whole testimony, in many ways, it worked out in ways I couldn't even imagine. What I can say is that it not only came with me being able to take hold of the property, but it also came with other opportunities that I hadn't even thought of that are wonderful opportunities. And also something I had been praying for, which was an ability to expand the awareness of us being here, came with it. Because with that partnership that was created to have me to be able to hold on to the property came exposure. Without me having to pour all this money into marketing and this and that, it came with it. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, whatever you're facing, if you can exercise your spiritual power, the innate ability to govern your thoughts and your feelings, if you can reroute your mind to imagining the best, to imagining success, to imagining miracles versus failure and damnation, if you can just consciously do that and train your mind to go that way, you're going to see your life change. You're going to see your life change. And it's not for the sake of the material things. It's not for me. I'm going to speak for myself. It's not for the sake of material. My sole desire is to align with my light, align with the reality of God and the reality of my divinity, and shine my light as bright as possible. So I'd like to be a full 100% out picturing of the Creator itself. That is my desire. And of course, because God is what God is, that's going to come with beautiful creation. Beautiful creation. So give thanks for the privilege to experience beautiful creations. But my goal is to be a light. That's what it is. My goal is to be a light. My goal is to be obedient, to walk in my purpose, to walk in the passions that the Most High has endowed upon me. That is my desire. And so because of the reality of God, that is so. Already is so. My job as co-creator is to exercise my spiritual strength, my spiritual power, my spiritual imagination, my divine, all of those. Develop the mind where I am flowing in divine mind, and develop the faculties where I am flowing in divine faculties, where my faith is from a divine standpoint. My imagination is divine. My spirit is, my power is divine. My strength is divine. I'm moving from the divine, not the carnal, not the earthbound, the limited earthbound, but moving from divine. Asè. I pray this is a word that you could walk with, that it was beneficial for you. May we continue to allow ourselves to imagine the best. May we continue to allow ourselves, humble ourselves, lower ourselves so that we can raise up in divine consciousness and divine imagination. May we put to slumber those thoughts of failure and demise and destruction. And may all of those seeds that have been planted in our mind, may they be uprooted and may they wither away. Asè. 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 Amen. Ameen. 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 All right, y'all. Peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you so much, brother. Peace. Peace.